It's our Thursday night football early preview. Bills minus 12.5 against the Dolphins is what we've got for a line right now. Dave, what can you tell us about how to approach this game early?
Here, so like we've done in the past, I'll pull up our game preview here so we can take a look. It won't be quite as expansive as mentioned without projections or props at this time, but we could still dig in and see what we got here. So let me just pull up my notes. Spread, Dolphins, pretty clear, 53.5%, aligns with our top 5 probability of the Jaguars at 53.5%. But since that was a Thursday night game, I just leaned for the Jags in the top 5 roundup. But this is the same. So another very strong projection compared to the rest of the games. Projected final score is 30-19 in favor of the Bills. So we're a full 1.5 points inside the spread on the average here, which is pretty nice. A lot of times you see these pretty close, especially the closer to 50% that you get. You'll see like a more substantial key number cover, as we talked about when you're getting up towards the 57, 58, 59% spread probabilities. But at just about 54% with a 1.5 inside the score is pretty nice. Total, take a look, 49.5. We got the under at 53%, almost even money at FanDuel. We're going to talk about the edge on that pretty soon. And if you take a look at the money line, just 18% for Miami to get the road upset. It's pretty understandable, I'd say here. There is probably some value in this as we'll look at, but you're betting on bad team on the road in a quick turnaround spot. The money line, actually, if we look at our best bets that I have here, is our best edge at 3.0%. However, that would be fair odds of plus 460. So it's still a pretty notable underdog. It's better price at 575, certainly. So if you're going to bet the Dolphins to win this game based on the edge from Dimers, you should make sure you're getting them at odds of 460 or better, or else you are not getting the value and you're paying an unnecessary premium on a bet that our model doesn't favor with even a 20% probability.
Can I ask you a question on that real quick? Because like thinking this through, looking for edge, right? If you're a recreational bettor trying to use the Dimers model for, I don't know, pointing you in the right direction to win some money, right? I'm going to follow the highest edge plays on any given Thursday night. If the highest edge play isn't coming from something that is also high probability, so in this example, the Dolphins to win the game is the highest edge of the game, but it's still only an 18% probability. Obviously, that indicates that there's a misprice in the market, right? Like getting Dolphins at plus 575 is great if they should be plus 480. However, it kind of still isn't indicating that it's likely to happen. So I guess maybe this is just asking you for personal tips as someone very familiar with the model, but what's the smart way to approach actually going forward and placing bets with the model when you have an edge that's very high with a probability that's still very low?
It's a great question. You'll see this pretty often, with just the sheer number of games we have and the vast plus money value that often exists with underdogs. Personal preference is a huge bit that comes into play here. Also, bankroll and unit management. If you are someone who just likes to tail the best edges on dimers, you probably bet straights and you probably have a pretty consistent unit size. But if you see an underdog with a big edge, you might want to consider a half unit, a quarter unit, because you're still getting your chance at the value here, but you're risking less on a bet that has a substantially lower probability to hit. You're looking at spreads. It's almost always going to be in that 48 to 60% range for a team because it's a tighter market. On the money line, it's substantially bigger. The difference between odds on one team and the other is much larger. So we give the Bills an 82% probability to win this game. That's huge. 8 out of 10 times they're winning this game. But in 2 out of 10, the Dolphins are winning this game. And the odds that they're priced at suggests less than that. So it's a value play. It inherently comes with more risk with the underdog and the probability. but balancing them the right way is a pretty good way to still gain the leverage the model is finding in a value play without risking too much and getting burnt on something that still was not very likely to happen. Sorry, was going to say when the model's running hot, for example, you might want to just tail it. If you're tracking and you're seeing that its money lines are returning a ton of ROI, which we're going to look at in a week or two after we have about 3 or 4 weeks of data, we're going to see where the model is singing. And if it's running hot on money lines, regardless of favorites or underdogs, then maybe you just tail it. But if you see a bet like this and it appeals to you, I would just consider adjusting your unit size and betting smart.
Got it. Okay. Thank you for that. Yeah, it's one of those things. It's so easy to get really eager when you see a edge like this. I mean, this is 3%, right? We've seen higher edges than 3% too, but still, I like the way my brain works. I go to the site, I'm excited to see the first couple of things, and I'm like, yes, let's go. Let's lock in some big plays for a big card and big units. But I think it's a good reminder. Unit management really matters, and you can still make a profit. You can definitely make a profit following the highest edge picks, even if they're low probability, just by being smart with how you do it. Don't bet even a full unit necessarily, unless your bankroll's in a good spot. Bet, a quarter unit or something, and it will still yield massive returns if you do this consistently and follow the high edge plays in the model. So that's just personal conjecture, obviously. Gamble responsibly, as always. Make your own decisions. But the model's data has a variety of ways you can interpret it, and this is a good way to do it with high edges and low probabilities. All right, we have an early best bet look here beyond just the Dolphins money line massive underdog. We show some value on the under at 49.5, a 54% probability, a 2.5 edge. Dave, I'll let you elaborate here.
Yeah, so like we said, the money line has the highest edge, so you would maybe consider that our best bet by value. However, if we're looking at something a little more sensible and with less risk by betting on an underdog, the clear advantage is on the under at 2.5%. You can see the Dolphins to cover has a little value at 1.6%, so there's really value throughout this whole game. But we'll take the under with the slightly better odds and the edge. So both these teams are 1-1 to the under so far this season. Bills defense wasn't exactly on display in week 1, giving up over 40 points to the Ravens, but that's about as high-powered of an offense as you'll face this year. Dolphins do have a ton of playmakers, so it's interesting to consider an under against them, but it's whether or not they can finish drives. 3 picks and 8 sacks for Tua already through 2 games. It's not promising, especially after they couldn't even score in week 1 at all. Like, it took until the end of the game to get Devin Achane into the end zone. Tua's looked okay. He didn't look good in week 1. Tyreek Hill for 50-yard reception did a lot of the work in this. Devin Achane did a lot of the work in this. It's doesn't look good for the Dolphins scoring points anyway. And in a short turnaround for a team that's now 0-2, reeling pretty hard from a disappointing loss, I'd probably lean this way. I think it's going to be tough for them to put together points, sustain drives against the Bills. Josh Allen might have a broken nose, so there might be a more conservative game plan from the Bills. He might not be going full truck stick. Maybe they lean a little bit more on James Cook, let Josh Allen sit back in the pocket. Scrambling maybe causes a couple drives to stall. Lack of scrambling, that is. 28-21 would still cash this. That's pretty high scoring for a Thursday night football game, especially if one of the teams isn't very good. So, I like this lean from the model. It's definitely going to be a play for me. I would recommend this one alongside the dimer spot, especially if you're getting almost even money on a game line.
Yeah, no, 100%. I love this play. It's going to be on my card, and I'm locking it in early in the week as well. I think the point about Josh Allen's potential injury with the nose is actually a good one. Now, look, we don't even know. We're not medical experts. We haven't heard a report that he's broken his nose, but it didn't look good, right? And you saw in that game, the Bills kind of knew they could play with their food. right? It was a let's just get out of here healthy at this point type game. I thought they called it extremely conservatively. I think we know what the Bills offense looks like if they want to hang 50 on someone. It looks like what it looked like in week 1 in a primetime game. I think there's going to be plenty of times this season where the Bills know they can win a game without needing to put their foot on the gas. This seems like one. I mean, barring Miami surprising here, don't get me wrong, they have the playmakers to do so. There are a lot of questions with where this Miami team is at emotionally and mentally right now. Tyreek Hill's very pouty. Tua is kind of firing back at his own receivers in press conferences. So to me, I think the Bills defense is good enough to really frustrate an already frustrated Dolphins offense. On the flip side, if you know you're up 2 scores and Josh Allen's not 100%, possibly with a serious facial obstruction, let's just make sure we survive this one and survive and live to eat another day. So I'm with you on the under. Love that the model is with me. That was where my gut was coming in. And beyond that, maybe we can look for some props later in the week once we get our player projections out as well. Thank you, Dave, as always, for delivering us our early Thursday night football look.